Make my wish right. I wish it were big. Your wish is granted. I am going to show you today why I think the end-fed half-wave kit that I'll be showcasing is going to dominate the end-fed half-wave market. But before I do, we need to talk about Adam, K6ARK, who designed this end-fed half-wave. Now, Adam is a summit climber, he's a hiker, he's an outdoor enthusiast, and he likes to keep his load on his backpack light. So in order to keep it as light as possible, Adam tries to build tiny things. One of the things Adam has built is this end-fed half-wave right here. And I gotta tell you, this end-fed half-wave was one of his original designs, and it's a Bnc connector with an end-fed half-wave, a toroid on it, and it does QRP. Great. Adam started selling these kits for about 20 bucks, and they sell phenomenally on Amazon. Then Adam went ahead and said, I'm gonna do one better, and I'm gonna upgrade to a 20-watt end-fed half-wave kit, which he's doing well with, and they're selling pretty good as well. But Adam also does things like these cool tiny capacitive touch keys for CW iambic paddles. And I'll tell you, I don't think they're quite in stock yet, but when I saw it at Hamvention, yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Adam is the king of taking things and making them as small as possible for backpacking. But I said, hey, Adam, have you ever considered something like a 100-watt end-fed half-wave kit? Same kind of design and concept as you're using with that 5-watt or that 20-watt, but maybe you would do something like put a bigger toroid on it, like a T140-43. And Adam said, yeah, I have, but I'm a little bit worried that there's going to be a lot of business for that one. And I said, I think so too. And he's worried because, he's one guy. But I said, hey, would you make me, the design for the board so I can kind of play with it and see if it would be any good? And he was very, very gracious to do so. So that's what we got today. The 20-watt, no, maybe 100-watt end-fed half-wave kit. We're going to test it, but let's show it to you here on the bench first. I'm on this camera now because it's a lot better quality, and you're going to be able to see in detail what Adam did. Very nice little thing that he designed, and it's very similar to his other design with, of course, a couple of what you would call major differences. Number one, the size, and Adam's original PCB for his QRP or 20-watt kit will fit inside of this larger one for a T140-43 toroid, but the concept will be relatively the same. And the exception is this would take a BNC. This is actually going to take an Sl239. You could actually follow the instructions over there on Adam's website for building the 49-to-1, and it's going to require the same amount of components. It's just everything's bigger, right? So we take a look here, and what else do we do? Well, I had all the parts laying around, so I built this, and here's what I got. This is a T140-43 toroid, and this is a typical toroid that you might find in an end-fed half-wave kit. And depending on the manufacturer or the person making the end-fed half-wave kit, they might advertise it anywhere from 40 watts all the way up to 100 watts. We're talking single sideband here. Now with continual tone, it might be half that power. But this is the T140-43 standard use in most end-fed half-waves. Now, I actually do suppose you could probably stack them, right? And yeah, it's going to make it a little bit thicker. But then you should, in theory, be able to get more power out of your end-fed half-wave. We're not going to worry about that today, but with that, you also have to have magnet wire. And the magnet wire is going to loop around here. Now, Adam's instructions online do say that you're going to want to do a 3-to-21 turn ratio, possibly a 3-to-24 turn ratio if you're making the end-fed half-wave. But what I will tell you is later we're probably going to try to do it with a 2-to-14 ratio. Because I think we're going to get better band coverage on 10 meters. Along the lines of the toroid, though, we need some kind of magnet wire. Now, I had some magnet wire laying around, and this is 20 gauge enamel wire from Bntco. I don't typically have a problem with it, but this wire from this spool specifically, the enamel seems to break away really easily for some reason, but it fit within the actual PCB with minimal problems. Now, I should also mention that little toroid I showed you that could be stacked. Yeah, this one isn't a Type 43, so just ignore that it wasn't a Type 43 and pretend it was. But also, you're going to need some kind of Sl239 connector, right? And here's what I'm going to tell you about the Sl239 connectors. I said it once, I said it twice, a million times, but cheap Chinese connectors are sometimes not the best solution. And I got these off of Amazon. Every time you apply heat to this part right here, basically that center pin comes out. So these aren't good. However, on the actual kit I built, I had some high quality ones laying around. Your mileage might vary completely, but also then we're going to need some kind of 100 PF capacitor. Now, if you don't have a surface mount capacitor, these are 3 kilovolts, by the way. 1 kilovolt should be fine and sustainable. But you could easily use just a regular capacitor like one that you might have here, which is a lot more easily attainable. Other considerations are going to be what kind of heat shrink are you going to use for covering this when the project's all done. And I have some 2-inch heat shrink, which when you heat shrink it, it goes down to, I think, about an inch, inch and a quarter. And that's fine, but if I had maybe some battery heat shrink laying around, I might just use that. Now, the other thing and the final thing that you're probably really going to want, maybe 2 more things, is you're probably going to want some wire, right? And this is Bntco silicone wire. It's really inexpensive on Amazon. I'll provide a link for you below. And this is 26 gauge wire. The nice thing about this wire is some of the other people use it as well. It's very flexible. You see that? And it almost has like no memory to it. So it kind of makes things really nice. And then this is the awesome wire winder that Adam printed for me and sent to me, which is so huge I can't fit it on the screen. The last thing that I would say maybe you would want to use would be something like these. And these are, you solder the wires in there and then you could rapidly connect and disconnect these. These come in handy though, because like, let's say you wanted to have multiple links on your end-fed half wave. Now, Adam showed this to me about almost 2 years ago, a year and a half or 2 years ago. Adam sent me an end-fed half wave and he did it kind of like this. And he had a little piece of string hanging out of there so I could easily disconnect a linked dipole, linked end-fed half wave essentially, or I could add links as well if I needed to. So I did have these laying around as well. But in short, basically, there's a sequence that you're going to want to put things through. And I have found that putting the Sl239 on first is usually kind of preferred, at least in my opinion. And once you get that Sl239 on, you can then go ahead and put your capacitor on. I would then wrap your toroid with your enamel wire. And after you get that all wrapped, I would then kind of start to place it into tact and kind of get an idea where it's going to go and cut the wires. But before you actually solder it in place, there is one important thing, and that's the center conductor here. You're going to take a piece of magnet wire in the center conductor, and you're going to go directly to the pin location here. So just a small jump to the pin location right here. And the reason we want to keep it under, I believe that if we go over, we might see some kind of weird issues with the magnetic field of the toroid. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. But I went under. And then after I had that under and soldered on in both spots, I went ahead and placed this on, and I soldered the 3 points, the in, the out, and the ground. The only thing left to do at that point was to put some wire out for the counterpoise and the antenna. And then if you so desire to have a little piece of rope right here, you could put your rope on and then go ahead and heat shrink it. So it was really easy. This build was probably a lot easier than this guy just because of the size difference. It was really cool how Adam did this whole ground thing right here too. So you place the Sl239 on and it's automatically got a ground, and the trace is just for the ground and the counterpoise connect. But realistically too, it's really nice to see on the PCB where the traces go, so you could have a better understanding of how the end-fed half wave is working if your desire is to kind of understand these things more. People are going to ask me, isn't this kind of too large for a wire winder when you're trying to go portable and all that? I agree. That was more of a joke, but realistically what the best thing you could do is when you get your wire measured, you're going to want to maybe put it in a figure 8 and then use a Velcro strap, because then it's kind of neat and portable still. I could almost fit this all in the palm of my hand at this point. The next thing people might ask me is, well, hey, if I'm using this and I'm trying to hike mountains and everything like that, that doesn't make sense. It's not practical, because then I'm going to need a QRO radio or a 100-watt radio, and that becomes more weight and bulk. And I completely get that, and I agree with you. But the cool thing about this is it'll work at 5 watts. It'll work at a watt, and possibly up to 100 watts. Let's go find out right now. I'm out here testing the antenna. I got it all set up, but there is one difference. I told you I would be testing a 3 to 21 turn ratio on the end-fed half wave, which Adam suggests. I did, however, decide to test out a 2 to 14 turn ratio. Regardless, the math is the same. 2 divided by 14 is 7. 7 squared is 49. 49 to 1 end-fed half wave. The difference is I seem to get a better standing wave ratio on 10 meters. I want to show you right now where I'm at and what I could do to improve it even more. But I think it's important that I show you this in case maybe you're building an end-fed half wave, any end-fed half wave, for the first time. Let's start off with 20 meters. And the reason I like to start off with 20 meters is I use that quite a bit. And what we're going to see here is I have a 1-to-1 essentially ratio at 14.400, which, as we all know, is outside of any portion of the amateur radio band we could use. But if we continue down, the standing wave ratio stays within 1.5 to 1, 1.6 to 1, all the way down the band. So that tells me that it's probably pretty good, but we really need to check the impedance and make sure that it's at or around 50 ohms. You know, of course, with an end-fed half wave, it's transforming a high impedance value to a impedance value that the radio would accept. And right at 14.4, yeah, we're right at about 50 ohms, 51.8 ohms. So that's not too bad. But according to this, we could probably lengthen our antenna just a little bit so that portion that's resonant goes down to where we could operate. Of course, with 20 meters, again, it's completely fine where it's at, and I wouldn't necessarily have any kind of issue. Let's check 40 meters. For the voice portion of 40 meters, we're below 2-to-1 standing wave ratio pretty much everywhere within that actual general portion of the voice band. However, if I take a look at it and I look at the impedance values, maybe it's telling me again I need to lengthen the actual antenna because I'm right at 50 ohms, somewhere around 7.4. And as we know, we go for general at least 7.175 to 7.300. At the beginning of 15 meter band, we're at like 1.28 to 1, but if we continue to go up the band, 1.11, 1.15, and we do see that it continues to increase up the band. So we could, let's just check the impedance values real quick. The impedance values are right around 42 ohms, 45 ohms, and all the way where it is resonant, toward the beginning of the band, it's 49 ohms. So what that tells me is I would, if I lengthened everything, probably lose a little bit of 15, which I'm not necessarily concerned about. 15 is not my band, but I know a lot of people like it. On 10 meters, we're at 2-to-1 at 28.507, and we go to somewhere around 1.27 to 1, around 29.61. If we look at the impedance values, again, we're 43 ohms, which again, that's definitely acceptable for what we're using an end-fed half wave. Now, I should mention I'm in a sloper configuration, so what we're learning with every one of the bands is every one of the bands requires some kind of lengthened cable so we can bring that level down to somewhere we want to operate. For example, I like to operate on 10 meters anywhere from 28.385 up to 28.450, we'll call it, somewhere in that voice band. Again, you're going to have to adjust these depending on how you're going to operate. With that, I'm not going to adjust any length of wire right now because I'm content where everything is and I should be able to operate on most of the bands right now. Let's try to make some contacts.
Parked on the air. There's Kilo Golf 0 Echo calling CQ. CQ parked on the air. CQ parked on the air from Kilo Golf 0 Echo.
Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot.
Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot. Go ahead. You're kind of going up and down here, but you're peaking at about 5.5 at Kilo 159 in South Dakota.
Thank you for South Dakota, 73.
Alright, thank you. QRZ from Kilo 4402.
Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot.
Whiskey 9 Fox.
It's sorry, Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot.
W9FFS, got you, 59 Colorado.
Got you at a 5757 in Northern Illinois. Thank you and good luck.
QRZ, Whiskey 2, India Tango Golf.
Whiskey 9er Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot.
Alright, I heard a Foxtrot, Foxtrot, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Whiskey 9er Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot. You're about a 5x6, 56 in Northern Illinois.
good on the 5 and 6 there, Sean, in McHenry, Illinois. I got you about a 5 and 5, 55 in Tequilo, 2311, Iowa, Roger.
This is W9FFF as this frequency in use. And as you can see, what just happened there is, of course, I need to lengthen the cable to get to this portion of 10. Again, not a big deal. This is Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot is this frequency in use. Nothing heard, W9FFF calling CQ, CQ, CQ. This is Whiskey 9er Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot. There is nothing out there saying that this NFED right here will actually be an official product from K6ARK. But I think you need to let him know in the comments below if you would purchase one if it was for sale. And now I probably should explain why I think it's going to dominate the market if it does go out. Number one, Adam, if you saw the prices on all of his other products on Amazon, he keeps his price down. There's a potential that Adam's going to have a 100-watt NFED half-wave. I can't speak for him, but maybe one of the cheapest ones on the market. Also, I like the Sl239 design and the fact that it is so compact and portable. Adam puts a lot of work and effort into the products that he designs and sells. Multitude of reasons. And even if Adam decides not to sell this as a kit itself, maybe Adam will provide a bill of materials so you can go out there and purchase the stuff on your own. And that might even cut costs even more. I think that this is going to be a winning combination for an NFED half-wave antenna to take with you portable, or maybe just use around the house. One thing I wanted to mention too, though, if you looked on my SWR readings, occasionally you might see the standing wave ratio go kind of crazy or the impedance value go a little bit crazy. There was a short in here on my fault, and so all I had to do is hit the soldering iron to it, and it's good again. I say it every time. I had a great time making this video because if you're not having fun doing this stuff, why do it, right? So thank you all for watching. Adam, thank you for giving me the opportunity to build something this cool. I hope you all get that opportunity here in the future. And we'll see where the next project takes us. Until next time, I'm Ham Radio Dude 73.